All right, welcome to the Armchair Commanders podcast. My name is John,
And I'm Jack.
and this week we are continuing our submarine theme of back-to-back hot sub on sub action with the 2002 film Below. And Jack, I fucking hate you.
Love you too, buddy. So, in my defense, I did give you a choice of how many movies.
Two. You gave me two movies.
Two movies,
It
and you
was
just happened to zero in on this one. So, this was on you in a roundabout way.
you know my weakness for submarine films.
Yeah, you just can't help but go down on them.
Yeah.
But
For
you
those who
just
are
love.
curious, my other choice was Overlord, which is the zombies during D-Day movie.
I just wanted to watch a spooky movie for once, some supernatural shit, you know. Um,
Spooky, spooky, spooky.
And to bring any of our new listeners up to speed, DP, my gracious co host, just can't resist anything that's long, hard, and full of semen. So he just loves submarines. He also likes dick.
Oh, god damn it.
Yeah, I got you.
You know, you made White Claw go up my nose.
Why are you drinking White Claw? That's on you, man.
There ain't no laws when you're drinking claws, man.
Yes, there are.
There weren't any fucking laws in this film. They just did whatever the fuck they wanted.
Man, this was certainly, well, it wasn't scary. I'll put it that much. What I do know about this movie is somebody described it as U571 meets Poltergeist, which
Well, actually,
no,
that was on the fucking
you're right,
movie
it was on the
poster.
poster, which it wasn't that on either accounts, really. There was really no there really wasn't any hot sub on sub action on in this one, was there? Like maybe
No,
yes, there was a depth charging scene, but I don't count that.
no, there wasn't any hot sub on sub action. Just the depth charging.
That's one trope. We really ought to have like a checklist of sub films, and depth charges should be at the front, along with Black Cook and a head-on shot that would be impossible in real life.
Right.
But unlike U571, this Black Cook had nothing, like no fucking
Like
lines,
he's just
no
he's just
characterization.
there.
He's just there in the background.
He doesn't
Ugh.
even fit the horror film trope of dying first.
No, he doesn't. He dies when the hydrogen goes up, doesn't he?
Yeah, when like 2/3 the crew dies.
Shut that door! I'll shut it with your fucking face. Fucking A.
I gotta say, the submarine seemed rather spacious. Might have just been my own perceptions, but
American subs were a bit roomier than German subs.
it's to make room for all the fucking children's toys. I had
Yep.
to I had to look it up because there's a scene where this guy is looking through a fucking viewfinder. Like, did you ever have a viewfinder as a kid?
Yes. But I don't
So
remember what
like,
was in it because I couldn't find any of the views.
I saw that and I'm like, no way. So I had to Google it, and you know what? Kudos to this fucking film because I learned something from it. But apparently, the viewfinder was first brought about in like the 20s or 30s. So it's not outside the realm of possibility that a sailor on a submarine would have a viewfinder. It's just I was like, why do they have a piece of shit 90s toy on board this submarine?
They had there in Django Unchained. There's a scene where one of them's playing with a viewfinder.
Yeah, but that's like one of the old school like single card ones, not the like click click like rotating.
True.
Also, what the fuck is with I'm just going to call him Special Agent Bill Tench because his name is Holt McCallany, but he was a FBI agent in the Netflix series Mindhunter. He was the guy that kept playing with the yo-yo.
Ah,
I just such a weird prop to have as like your thing. Like in war films, we have like, oh, there like there's the guy with the cigarette or the guy that whistles or whatever. But like his fucking thing was the yo-yo, and I was just it was so distracting for me.
we all gotta have our thing. Sometimes that's yo-yos.
Also, we just with our last episode where we did U-571, we talked about another submarine trope, which is the officer casually eating while it's a high tension moment. And he both completes that. What the fuck is the word? What's the word, Jack?
Word.
The word for something that shows up in films a lot.
Cliche. Trope.
Yeah, the trope. So we get the like officer eating trope, and he like busts open a sardine can in the middle of like a depth charging scene, and I was like, God, that is so gross.
Hey, gotta have an anchovy or a sardine, a fish.
What did you what did you think of his death though? I found it rather comical.
I get why he didn't kill me, because he didn't have to. Bang!
I
When you just
think
all the screws come loose.
yeah, he realizes that like yes, the ship is indeed haunted. So he just swims outside and then gets impaled on the submarine.
Oh, I'm thinking about a different guy. But yeah, that death. Oh man, what a fucking way to go. He didn't even have air, just frantically swimming, then impaled by the ship. And he's still there at the end of the movie.
I just I think that like granted, I didn't have like super high expectations of realism and or accuracy from U-571 meets Poltergeist, but the fact that these guys can freely go to and fro inside and outside of the submarine while they're underwater really bugged the shit out of me.
Yeah, that wasn't really realistic, but whatever.
Like, it don't get me wrong, like there are submarines today that have uh like waterlock chambers and whatnot, but like that's not a thing that's happening on a sub in World War II. I mean, we see the beginning of it with a thing called the escape trunk, but that's literally just so like if they bottom out in a shallow area, they could have a chance at escaping. It's not so they can like head on outside and start doing repairs. And it's like, no, like fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you.
Oh, I did appreciate the I will say even though this movie is cheesy and it's not even really all that well done, I and it's not even all that scary either. Because like even the jump scares don't even really get you. But
Nope.
the I appreciated what they were trying to do with why the sub was cursed. Like it was a fun little who done it. Like, you know, the the main characters got to do their like, what is going on here? You're way out of fucking line.
That's my favorite part of the movie when they're inside the bulkhead fixing that shit. And then Wally just wants to scare the other guy. And he's like, I hear the sealed in some mechanics when they were fixing the bulkhead. Never heard from them again. Wally, you are so fucking out of line with that shit.
But like, so there is some good lines in this movie, but the I actually did enjoy the premise, which is like, and obviously you can tell from the very beginning, like, yeah, the captain didn't die on accident; he got fucking murdered. Um, but the whole like,
I don't know. That was kind of a twist to me.
for me, the fact he was murdered was not a twist. What was a twist for me was, oh, it turns out that the hospital ship that got torpedoed was actually torpedoed by the submarine that rescued the
Yeah.
survivors at the end of it. Especially because, like, at the beginning, there's this moment where they're like, "We just came from there. Do we really have to go back and pick them up?" And it's not until at the end of the movie you're like, "Oh, they don't want any survivors whatsoever because they don't want anybody to know about their fuck up."
Man, that was a twist. But the twist.
With the twist. Oh,
But yeah, it was the captain that was the bad guy.
dun dun dun. He was a malediction. Look it up.
Look it up.
Oh my. I just, so there's literally a line in this movie, and it's said multiple times by Zach Galifianakis, which I know you liked him in this movie, but I do not like Zach Galifianakis one bit. Just
Why?
I I I've never found him funny. I have yet to have watched him in a film and appreciated his acting job in that film. I just he doesn't do it for me. You know what? I sue me. Um but so Zach Galifianakis is in this crew, and his purpose in the story is, oh, he's the weirdo who likes dark shit so he can explain when the spooky things happen. Was his actual job on the submarine? Fuck you. That's what his job is. Um he just, so he's like reading and he's like, we have a malediction. Malediction. Look it up. So he says it like two or three times. So finally, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm looking up malediction. And malediction, according to the dictionary, a magical word or phrase uttered with the intention of bringing about evil or destruction, semicolon, a curse. It the way they
Semicolon.
use the way they use malediction in this movie is basically saying like, oh, the dead captain is a curse. We're calling him a malediction. Like, they're using malediction as a synonym to curse, but it's not. That a malediction is to say like, oh, damn you, or something like that. Like, you are speaking a curse towards something or about something. It's not physically a curse itself. And it makes me so goddamn, like, I don't know why I'm being pedantic about this, but I am. Like, if you're going to make it such a big part of this character's dialogue and he doesn't get it right, it's just, ugh. What did you think of Zach Galifianakis? Fucker.
I liked him. I'm still not sure what his job was on the ship. Was he just a hands-off mechanic? Was he a diver? Or it sound
I
it
don't know.
looked it looked like he was
You
just a
see,
diver, right?
well, that's the thing. So he does repairs as a diver. He uh hangs out in the sonar Radio Shack thing, but that's after everybody's dead. So it's like, hey, go do this, not like this is your job. So I genuinely don't know what his actual job on that submarine is, other than fuck you. That's what it is.
Fuck you,
I
that's
did
what.
the one thing that I did appreciate about Zach Galifianakis' character is his obsession with Cracker Jacks.
Yeah.
And like the obsession with Jacks, fuck.
Crapper Jacks.
I'm gonna have to bleep some shit out. Um,
Penis.
Venus. Um, the thing about Cracker Jacks, like, it serves no point to this story other than just like, oh, it's his weird little autistic tick.
Correct.
Um, but it made me laugh because it reminded me of a story about my dad. So for those who haven't listened to our show before, my dad, he's an Air Force veteran. He spent the better part of like 25 years in the military, and he was in Iraq and Afghanistan and did Desert Storm and Panama, just everywhere, everywhere and anywhere. And he told me this story, and it was about the time that, because Cracker Jacks doesn't give toys anymore. They just have the little paper card things now. Uh, but right about the time that Cracker Jacks stopped doing toys, he told me this story where he's like, yeah, or it was a little bit afterwards, whatever, fuck you. Um, he's like, yeah, I remember in Desert Storm when we were just like doing the build up, very much like the scene in Jarhead where like it's like several weeks or months there's troop buildup waiting for the invasion of Kuwait, and they're just sitting around, doing their daily training exercises and being utterly bored out of their minds. And he got a box of Cracker Jacks in like a care package, and he opens up this box of Cracker Jacks and there isn't a toy in it. And my dad, being the fucking smartass that he is, he wrote this like 6-page letter to the Cracker Jack company. And it was like, I'm a service member over in the Middle East, and, you know, it's really hard over here. And all I was truly looking forward to is, you know, getting this toy from the Cracker Jack because it's one of the simplest, pleasures I have over here. And the fact that I had a box that didn't have a toy just completely destroyed my morale, this, that, and the other. And he sent the letter off to the Cracker Jack Corporation. And like a month later, they sent him a care package, and it was filled with like dozens of boxes of Cracker Jacks and like T-shirts and like a history book about the company, just all this nonsense. He's like, "Oh man, I didn't expect that shit to work."
So, less moral of the story: complain.
Yes, be a Karen.
I My Karen story. Christ, I hate myself for saying that, but it was at a buddy's wedding of mine, and he had us order a very specific suit from a very specific company, which I will not name here, mostly because I forgot the name of the company. But we
Which
didn't get our.
friend? Ah,
Well, anyway,
I'll bleep it out.
um, we didn't get our suits to like something ridiculous 2 weeks before the wedding, and we ordered it months in advance. And luckily, mine fit. In fact, I think all of ours luckily fit. But at the
Well,
wedding,
I remember when we got our suits for Mitch's wedding. We got it like 2 days before.
yeah, we are. I hate it when they cut it close. But as I was saying, shit, what was I saying? Oh yeah, after the wedding, they were immediately kicking us out of the venue. So, and we wouldn't be able to get back in until the next morning. Okay, fine. I'll just get my shit afterwards. They'll just lock it in overnight. I remember where I put my suit jacket. It was draped over one of the arms of the couch in the groomsmen's dressing room. Everything else ended up in my buddy's, in the groom's dad's truck, the back of it, mind you. Started raining heavily that night, so everything got drenched except for my suit coat, which is still in the venue for those keeping track at home. It wasn't there when then it come the next day, so I'm like, okay, where the hell's my suit jacket? And I messaged the venue like, hey, so I'm missing a suit jacket and it really needs to go back out because they're due like pretty much right away. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll search tomorrow. Tomorrow comes and goes, no word from them at all. So I have to like break down their door their digital door by messaging them over and over again, like, "Hey, have you found it?" And they're like, "Oh, sorry, we forgot to message you. We did in fact find your suit jacket." And they sent a picture of it. I'm like, "Okay, were you gonna tell me if I didn't ask?" And it wasn't
Probably.
mine. It wasn't mine, surprisingly, but they didn't send it to me. I just had them send them directly to the company, and I got a fine for being late on that. And I sent them a very ranting email that's like, "Hey, this is kind of bullshit that you expect it back immediately, and I didn't really get a chance. Like this, you'll notice it wasn't even my suit jacket. Somebody took mine because they lost theirs, which is this one. And there's only ever one thief. Everyone after him is just trying to get their stuff back, and this is that case." And they said, "Sorry you had a bad experience with us. We're waiving the late fees." I'm like, "Okay, that's cool. So
Oh,
complaining does get you places."
thank you so much.
Still pisses me off though. I should just buy my own suit, but then again, it might not be the right color the groom and bride want.
Hey,
Press, press.
it's their day.
It's their day. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I like to think that our wedding was pretty simple as far as the expectations went. Like, hey, black pants and a white shirt and this color of suspenders.
My God, I was severely hungover for your wedding too,
Oh, I know. I
but I
know.
didn't throw up during the ceremony. I'm still proud of myself. I threw up beforehand,
Ah, classic.
but the hangover thankfully cleared up by the time of the reception. So I was back at it, as God
Speaking of
intended.
vomit, I was going to say, speaking of vomiting, um, I don't know about you, but the scene where, see, I brought us back in. Um, the scene where the fucking engine room blows up because of the hydrogen, which I since when is hydrogen? I don't know. Fuck it, whatever. Story purposes, I guess. Um, so the hydrogen filled engine room blows the fuck up.
That it does.
Um, and, and they go in after the fact to look for survivors. And I gotta say, this is one of the. I think this is the first film where we've had. No, this is second film that we've had like burned bodies, but like they really went all out for the like effects makeup for the burned bodies on this,
Yeah, they did.
and it just kind of blew my mind. Blew my mind. Um, Considering everything else that we have going on in this movie that's shitty, that like that's the thing that they like. We're going to do this right.
Yeah, yeah. The explosion itself was too much for them to film, but they definitely got the makeup and the after effects of said explosion. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's if the helium or no hydrogen is in the room is enough for an explosion like that, should they be breathing it in?
Probably not.
I don't know.
Something tells me they probably would be sick at that point. But
And
fuck you. That's the
I
motto of this film: is fuck you.
I did like that detail though when they opened that door and there was a rush of wind because all the oxygen was rushing to fill in that area because it all got flashed in that hydrogen explosion.
That was a good detail.
However, oh wait,
Comma.
that was a different door they came in, right? Because the door
Yeah.
that jackass opened was a different one.
Yeah. Comma semicolon.
Yes.
Ugh. What was your aside from the you're way out of fucking line? What was your favorite scene in this film?
Like I said, it was the ballast tank scene when Weird Wally and them are just diving around fixing shit, and we get some exposition on what actually happened when the captain fell. Turns out he wasn't fell; he was murder.
Dun dun dun.
A murder most
I
foul.
I think my favorite scene uh actually is at the very end, and not because the movie ended, but the the scene where they they finally get on board of the ship that rescues them after the giant climactic battle that wasn't a giant climactic battle. It's just, give me the lantern. No. And it just starts randomly shooting the dead body that's impaled on the submarine. Um, but the like three or four survivors of this event make it onto the the rescue ship, and we see the submarine slip beneath the waves, and as it approaches the bottom, we see it come to rest right next to the hospital ship that the submarine sank, where it's like, oh, all is well, the malediction is gone, look it up. um I thought that was a nice touch, and I thought it was a good like visual scene, was just seeing the submarine come to rest next to the cause of all of the curses and whatnot.
Yeah, malediction.
Look it up. I will
I was just
say,
go ahead.
or no, you continue.
I was just looking at a list of all the submarine films ever made, and holy shit, our cup runneth over. And then,
You saying we should start a second podcast?
well, no. I mean, it'd be a
Just
cool themed podcast, yes, but
hot sub on sub podcast.
we haven't done the big two of submarine films yet. Hunt for Red October, and
Das
fuck, what was the
Boot.
other one? I just forgot it.
Das Boot.
Das Boot. That's right. Man, I'm gonna
I
go
feel like
all out
Run
for that
Silent
one.
Run. I feel like Run Silent Run Deep is at the
Oh,
top
it's
end of the.
oh yeah, it's
Of,
definitely up there in the third, top three, probably the top one. But we already did that, so I didn't count it. Man, I'm gonna go out for Das Boot. I'm gonna lock myself in a iron submarine for months on end, drink rum and shit, and eat only canned food.
so actually, I had this idea that I really want to do with you. And you know what? If we actually have more than 7 listeners here, I would love to do a like a get together party collaborative thing. But there is a museum. Fuck, where is it? I think it's Wisconsin. But there's a museum that has a World War II submarine, and they have it listed on Airbnb. And so basically what you can do is you can rent out this submarine for you and your group and like sleep overnight, and like you have dinner there, and like you sleep in the submarine. And I was like, how cool would that be to like you, me, and you know, some of our good friends who have joined us on this podcast throughout the past year, and be like, okay, we're going to have a submarine movie night and then record an episode on the sub.
Man, that'd be dope.
Let's see, where is it? It's in Manitowoc, Wisconsin.
Ah, you know,
Where
I gotta be honest with you, I wasn't thinking Wisconsin for a submarine thing museum, but
let's see how much it costs. The USS Cobia, 6 bedrooms, 65 beds, 3 baths, can host 16 plus guests. $500 for one night. Which honestly, $500 to have a submarine to yourself for an evening seems like a steal.
yeah, I bet if we steal it, we'll get an even better price.
Holy shit, it has Wi-Fi.
Cool. They didn't have that back in the day.
No, they did not. So, listeners, if you think that that's a fun idea, me and Jack can try and make that work.
Damn right. That'd be a
See if
great time.
like Greg from the Independent Seaport Museum will join us, or maybe the the tattooed historian. Actually, JD from the History Underground, he has a video on his YouTube channel where he actually did that. Where, but he just like rented it out to himself, which I have to imagine would be the creepiest shit ever. Being on a submarine all alone overnight, just the creaking and groaning.
And the captain you killed recently is whispering to you when you're trying to sleep.
That was a whale, right? Yeah,
Sure.
totally. Never mind, we're in Wisconsin, but what did you think of the fact that the captain never actually like fully appears? Like it's always just flashes and glimpses, and he's like very obviously caught the cause of all of the nonsense poltergeist bullshit happening on the ship, but like we never fully get the like disembodied ghost of Captain Ahab being like, "You can't be."
I mean, we got him in flashbacks, right?
No, we did get him in flashbacks, but I mean when he's actively haunting the submarine, all we ever get is like quick little glimpses of like ghost captain. And I just feel like it would have been very fitting for, the guy that killed him to like lose his mind and like before he like kills himself or something, like finally comes face to face with the captain that he sees and loses it, kind of like how that one dude lost it and then just swam outside the submarine and got impaled.
That was pretty fucking funny, though. I mean, I think it kind of added to the horror aspect of it, not seeing him fully.
It felt a little cock teasy is all.
Cock teasy.
What did you think of like the very first hint of a haunting, which was "Sing Sing Sing" playing on the phonograph?
And it kept fucking playing until he went crazy and smashed it. Yeah, I mean, you've heard of the Telltale Heart. Now get ready for the Sing Sing Sing. Should I?
Man, I bet Edgar Allan Poe would be jealous as shit of that as a storyline.
Man,
Also, how else are we going to demonstrate that this movie is taking place during the 40s? I got it. Swing music.
but isn't the title card a swing music? What else was I
Oh
gonna
fuck.
say? Yeah, during that scene in the ballast tank, I was fully expecting him to appear just like behind one of them and like pull them under shit, some shit.
Something.
Something.
What I was surprised by was, early on, uh, they kill one of the prisoners or one of the people they rescued. Um, because we're already unhinged and are cool with killing our captain. So what's killing a German prisoner? Um, but so they have him loaded up, and they're like, okay, when we surface, we're going to dump him off the side. And they start getting like depth charge and whatnot, and I was honestly shocked that like there were a ton of tropes in this film that they chose not to take part of, and one of which was the trash gambit. And it's like, guys, you have a body ready.
Yeah, right.
The other trope that I actually really really enjoyed them straying from or like doing differently was obviously we have our depth charge scene, but I mentioned in our last podcast that the one trope that I really look forward to is the like torpedo skimming along the side of the ship but not actually exploding. The the scene when they're getting depth charge and the last depth charge that falls is a dud, and it just like lands on the deck of the ship and you hear this loud crash, and as the ship keeps like sailing underneath the water or whatever you want to call it, traversing, it just keeps like bouncing on the deck and then it finally falls off the side, and it's like that was it's one of the few moments in this film that actually like made me feel tense, and it's a moment like submarine films always make me tense at some point, but I'm like, when the depth charge was a dud and it's just bouncing along the deck, I'm like, holy shit, That was a truly great scene because it took a normal trope and really twisted it into something new and creative.
Yep. Yeah, I did really like that scene as well.
Did you hold your breath?
Oh man, it was tense. But yeah, that isn't that in and of itself, I guess, is you could call another submarine trope, or dare I say cliche, the splashes, tense waiting, and then the boom, baba booey.
uh, I'm surprised we never talked about like the most problematic part of this film, which is how the sailors were talking as soon as they found out that like they were
Oh
picking up
yeah, I was gonna
survivors.
mention that.
I was tempted. I was like, I might have to shut this fucking film off because I'm like, this is awful. Like, I'm
We
not
got a
saying like
bleeder.
right. Not only that, they did it like 7 different times. They're like, hey, we got 3 survivors. One of them's a bleeder. Hey, we got 3 survivors. One of them's a skirt. I'm like, Jesus Christ, guys, just fuck. Like, I get it. It's the 1940s, and like, there's sailors on a submarine, and they haven't seen a female in weeks or months or fucking whatever. But like, this is 2002. Why are we being so shitty about the dialogue? Why is it being extended so long?
Yeah, no shit.
Also, a bleeder. When is that? I have never heard that before.
Oh yeah, it's lot to unpack there.
We got 3 limeys. One of we got 3 tea bags. What? How does everybody know all of these words? So what are you
Malediction.
drinking?
I
So what are
was
you drinking
drinking
this evening?
I was drinking a mellow yellow, but I have no more
Ah,
mellow yellow.
as many a sailor has done in the past.
Yep. The go to drink of sailors everywhere. If I do say so myself.
As you might recall, I've been drinking a White Claw, but I'm refined. I took it out of the can and I poured it into a glass, so I'm
Ah,
not
much,
I'm
much
not some.
better.
Yeah, I ain't no frat boy. Is there anything else that you would like to touch on for this film?
Hmm. I'm trying to think. Kind of left me wanting more as a movie itself. But
I think this film proved the adage of like, if you're going to compare yourself to another film, you're not going to be as good as that film. So this film to me was neither as good as U571 and it was not as good as Poltergeist.
yeah, I haven't seen Poltergeist, so I'm going to take your word for it.
It's a
However,
it's a classic. However, semicolon.
do you think it's that time again?
I think it is.
Rotten Tommy Toes time.
What do you think our rating metric ought to be?
Hmm. Cracker Jack toys.
Cracker Jack toys. I'm
Which
down. I'm down for.
at the end when he opens it and it's a submarine, just flicks it off into the ocean. Like, nope, had enough of those. One was almost my tomb.
You know what? Cracker Jack submarine toy.
All right, Cracker Jack submarine toys. So the tomometer for this is 66%, and the audience score is 44%. I'm gonna meet in the middle and give it a 55%.
Which equals how many Cracker Jack toys?
5 Cracker Jack toys and one or five, yeah, 5 submarine Cracker Jack toys, but one of them, but and another one that's broken half. Ow.
Are you doing this 5 out of 10?
Well, I had to fucking reduce 55 to 100, so the best I could do is like 5.5.
Okay.
Shut
I
up.
I will never watch this film again. I
I might watch it with friends. So I guess on a 1 to 5, it'd be a 2 out of 5 or 2.5 if that you want to go down to 5. See, I can do some math.
right? So for me, I'm never watching this film again. This film pissed me off a lot. I will say I appreciated the change up of like the depth charge bouncing off the deck thing, but everything else about this film was legit. Listeners, if this is my perspective, if you haven't watched this film yet and your only metric of whether or not to watch this film is hearing this review, don't fucking watch it. Don't. It's not worth your time. Don't waste the $3 on YouTube. Like save an hour and 45 minutes of your life on something better. Just this film to me is a fucking crackerjack box with no toy. It's a fucking zero.
He feels very passionate about his submarine movies, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my god. So yeah, fucking zero. Maybe a half of a broken submarine crackerjack if we're on a 10 scale, but
So yeah, I think that about does it for this review. You sound done.
oh, we'll keep going because you are way out of fucking line. All right. So, as we had mentioned last week, we will be having a guest on for our next episode, and she is big into Scottish history, which means we will be watching Mel Gibson's epic Braveheart. Kerpla!
Kerpla.
I'm looking forward to this. It's a long movie, but I enjoy it. So I can't wait to have everything I've known about it be ripped to shreds. What do you mean Mel Gibson doesn't have I don't know, fucking whatever. Um so yeah, that'll be next week. Do you have anything else, Jack?
Nothing.
All right. Well, if you have enjoyed this episode or have enjoyed any of our previous episodes, please leave a review. The stars do matter. If you'd like any additional content from us, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at the Armchair Commanders Podcast. We also have a Discord server under the same name. We also have a YouTube channel called the History Apprentice channel. So go ahead and give that place a sub if you'd be so inclined. Until next week, I've been John,
And I'm Jack.
and we will catch you all later.
Bye.